Hi guys, welcome to week 5. You made it. This is our last week where we're going to be putting together everything that we've learned in this class. As far as the elements, we're going to do lines and shapes that turn into forms. Forms take up space. Different shapes and forms are bigger than other ones, what that looks like. We're going to be looking at texture and value. Um, I'm not going to be adding color today, but please, please, please feel free to add color to your pictures. I've chosen to do my favorite character today, which is Obi-Wan Kenobi. I will share the screen to show that this was what I was going off of, and I will show you how I break this character down. It's very, very similar to how we broke down the Baby Yoda one. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get to it. So, let me make sure I have this where it needs to be. Okay. There we go. Okay. So, what I usually do first, and I'm going to use a marker for this so you guys can see. So, just like we did with the child or the Baby Yoda character, we're going to go by the heads. So I have his head here. So then I'm going to draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So Obi-Wan here is 7 heads tall. Once I get that 7, I draw the line on the bottom. That way we can define, here's the neck part, we've got our pelvis area, which is in head 4 here. His knees, they're right here between. So we've got some knees, so you can see that. So it tells us exactly where everything is. So these are our ruler guides. So what we're going to do is we're going to transfer this onto our other drawing, okay? Before I do that, I want to take another marker and show you some outline here of the skeleton. So this is something that we did not do for the Yoda, but you have a skeleton. Let me get another marker because this one's too light. Let me use orange. All right, so our skeleton here, his shoulders are at an angle. So I have the joints of the shoulders, which I use a dot for. This elbow is coming down to about right here, which is mid-third head. So a lot of times I will actually print off what a character looks like, and I will draw the skeleton first before I start drawing. And that's just good practice. So you don't always have to do that, obviously. So we've got some joints here. Like I said, the pelvis is down here, about right here. So we've got that. And then he is kind of like that, pushing out the chest. This leg comes straight down into the foot. There's another circle for the knee. And this one goes out a bit and then comes down, and his foot is hidden a little bit behind his. So my character is a tad bit short simply because I ran out of space on my paper. Don't let that happen to you. Try to start out a little bit higher on your paper. So that's actually what I'm going to do this time. So let's transfer to our new paper. I'm going to be moving through this relatively fast. It normally takes me a good hour to do these characters. So this video needs to be crunched into 30 minutes. So let's see if we can do that together. All right, so first, again, I'm going to do my 7 heads. So I'm going to start closer up to the top of the paper this time. Simply because I have had pictures where I've had to add a tape on. I know it's sad. Tape on more paper to the bottom to make them tall enough. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this one actually should be tall enough. Another one of the reasons why is I didn't make my heads, you know, very even. So here's the bottom. Okay. So like I mentioned, we've got shoulders here that are at an angle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a ruler line. What a ruler line is just telling me what straight is, okay? And then from that ruler line, that's where I'm going to draw the angle, okay? So it tells me, I'm turning my page so I can get that right. And everything I'm doing right now is a guide. So you guys want to make sure not to draw very darkly so that we can erase it later. So I've got shoulders. I think that's a good width apart. So I'm going to go ahead and make the shoulder joints. Okay. Now on this picture, I've got the first elbow coming down to about 1/3 of that third head. So 1/3 being 1, 2, 3. So about right here is where I'm going to come down with that first elbow. Notice I'm doing this without an actual ruler. That's because sometimes you don't always have a ruler with you to measure exact distances. If you like that kind of control, then it's perfectly fine to get a ruler. But it's also a good idea to practice without one. So this arm is going to come out about right here. And this arm is going to connect up with it. So I'm going to put the wrist about right here. The length of the shoulder to the elbow and the elbow to the wrist is relatively the same. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. And then here's this little hand. Okay, so that's one. The other arm, you can barely see the elbow. Okay, so it's coming through the other one. And then you can't actually see his forearm because it's hidden behind his other hand. So I'm going to go ahead and draw his other hand here, holding that lightsaber. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead before I draw his spine and do the pelvis. So on this picture, I've got the pelvis, let's see, 1, 2, 3, right between 3 and 4. So I've got him right here. So the pelvis area, it's going to take up all of head number 4 here. It's almost like a baseball diamond. It's usually how I draw my pelvises. His spine is going to bow out a little bit between the neck and where his arm is here, and then curve in. Spines are curvy little devils. So he's standing there like that. Okay. And as I said before, we've got knees right in between here. And I actually, looking at my picture now, I think I did crunch up my head circles to try to fit it onto the page. So hopefully this one is not going to look like that. So I'm going to start in the middle here of the pelvis joint here. And this leg is going to come out like this. Okay. And his toes are facing forward. So a squat little triangle there. And then the next one is going to come out about even with his shoulder here. You don't have to draw this line. just shoulder up here. So we want an equilibrium. So I'm going to go ahead and put the knee right here, even with the other one, and just connect the dots. Simple, huh? Pretty simple. And then this one comes straight down to the ankle, to the foot, which is going to the side. So there's our skeleton. It has it set up for us, so we know exactly where everything is. Once we have that skeleton, let's erase the headlines because we are done with those. We no longer need these rulers. They're just going to get in the way. Some people like to keep their rulers just to make it look cool. But usually when you're drawing a finished piece, it's difficult to erase everything in the end or as you go because you're trying to figure everything out. All right, so here's the skeleton of our piece. So now we need to bulk it up, adding some muscles. So when you add some muscles, it's not like a sausage or an oval like this, like that. It's more like a taper or like a raindrop type shape. So that's what we're going to do at the top of our shoulder. We've got that raindrop shape coming down to the elbow. And we're going to consider this the top. We're going to make another raindrop shape coming over to the wrist. Then I'm going to erase my skeleton line for my arm. Same thing over here. And you want to draw lightly because these might need to be adjusted. See, right now he's got like really broad shoulders. So I might end up adjusting that, but you want to taper that down. It's behind this other hand. So I'm just going to pretend to taper it. I've got his chest here. Can't see I think I made his shoulders a little broad, so I'm going to pull them in just a tad here. Okay, there we go. Good thing about drawing lightly is you can erase when you need to. Okay, let's go ahead and do the legs. So we've got the taper down, the taper down, the taper down. See, it's not super difficult. I didn't do the legs as detailed because they're going to be covered up mostly with his robe. So that's where we go to next. We go to his clothing. So for this character of Obi-Wan, he actually, let me think where I'm going to start here. I'll go ahead and start with his sleeve. So he's got a really big sleeve. So that comes down from his elbow, and you can't even really see it because of all the lines underneath. So I'm going to just draw a basic shape and then erase. So his sleeve is coming down into his kind of long sleeve there. So then I'm going to draw around his leg here his Jedi robe. So it's coming down to his foot. And this robe actually, I'll do the outside here. It is covering a lot of his leg. So once I put that there, so the leg underneath is giving structure for the cloth. All right. so that we know how the cloth is going to fall. So it's falling like this, draping over that knee. Okay, so underneath here, there's not much I can see. It's just a really dark boot. So I'm going to use my value and just shade in that boot right there. I'm not going to shade in his pants because I feel like I can see a little bit of his pants here. And his tunic is hanging down. Maybe a little further than that. Sometimes it's easier for me to draw lightly when I'm loose. So just being loose. Loosey-goosey. Tracing around this one. So this one does actually show more of his foot. So this cape is going to come down maybe about here, this side. Clothing can be difficult, so don't be frustrated. I'm going very fast, but since this is a YouTube video, you can actually slow down the demonstration. So it's going much slower. You can also pause it. That's one reason I love posting videos onto the to YouTube, because it's so much easier to slow it down and rewind than it is with just a regular Zoom video. His boots are right at his knees. I'm going to kind of fluff out his pants a bit here. This boot is still darker than his pants, but it's not as dark as the other one because it's not hidden behind. So it's more of a medium shade. Now, all of this inside here is dark, like the darkest dark. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in my darkest dark here. It's a little, no, it's even darker than this boot over here. So I've got a couple of different values going. I love these pencils. They make a dark, dark. Blackwing Pearl. It's not an advertisement. I'm just saying I really love them. Okay. They give me lots of different values that I can mess with. Okay. You can fill that in as much as you want. All right. So we've got tunic, we've got pants. Let's pop on up here and finish the upper part. So we've done this shoulder. Let's come over here and round off this shoulder as well. He's got his robes coming right there. And they're actually gonna drape down from this hand. This is his hand here. And his hand up here is holding our lightsaber here. So we've got some ropes coming down that are really dark from this hand. I'm going to shade the robes simply for the sake that I have like a terracotta brown here. I think I'm going to go ahead and color in my robe. That way I can see the difference in the space. If you don't have yours drawn yet, you don't have to color it in, but I'm trying to see exactly where I'm drawing. So I'm coloring that in pretty rough there, but now you can see where his robe is. All right. His boots are brown too, but they're a much darker brown, so I'm not going to put those in yet. Got his hand curving around his lightsaber. I don't usually make the hands super detailed unless they're doing something specific. Let's erase this chest bone. We can go ahead and draw his shirt. So this is his, he's got a hood here. So I'm just going to draw his hood and I'll color that in too. So I think I'm pretty much done with his robes. I'm not making this super detailed as far as coloring because I don't have a lot of time. I want to make sure I get this video in the time that is good for it. So his robes, he is twisting to the side. So I'm going to do a crisscrossy pattern here. Coming down. Eyes are in the center of our heads. So I have my oval head here. So right in the center, I'm going to draw a line for where his eyes should go. Okay. This is how I usually do mine because a lot of times it's more for me about the action stance than the eyes. It's just my style. So you guys, as you draw more, will definitely develop your own style also. So I'm going to draw his hair here. He actually has a little bit more of a hood on this side. And we know that he's got facial hair. So I'm going to scratch that in. And then defining the side of his face. Okay. Mine is at an angle because I am drawing at an angle. And for that, I apologize, but his head may look a little warped to you on your side. That's just because I'm drawing at a bad angle. So if I wanted to come back in here and do the eyes, you know, he's got the furrowed brow. Just some semblance of eyes there. So this is my Obi-Wan. So now that I have him, for the lightsaber, I do it like this, very lightly. And he has a blue lightsaber. So you can do a couple things with this. So I have a highlighter. That's what I'm going to use because I think it's really bright. And I'm just going to go around it like this. Looks a little dumb, I know, but for the sake of not having a blue pencil, Sometimes I like to go through and highlight where that shadow might be popping off. But if you have a pencil, you go around the white part, okay? You want to keep the white part in the center white. So if I share my screen again and you can see this one, see how it's white in the middle? And then around that, you've got the color. So the light is white, the color is around it. So you can color purple around it and it'll be a purple lightsaber. You've got pink, you've got whatever, you know, you've got green. So take your time with this, guys. Take your time with it, have fun with it. You can post, we'll be doing a challenge. So I chose to do Obi-Wan. You guys may have other favorite characters. So for the challenge this week, you'll get to choose your own character to try and do this with. You can look up how that character looks online and then print it off and draw your skeleton, or you can just try to wing it. You know, you can try to measure on the screen with your pencil and then draw your heads. Once you get your heads, guys, you know your space and your proportions so that you can do it a little bit better. So I think he looks awesome. So I hope you guys have a great day and a fun time drawing your characters. I hope you have a great rest of your last week and look forward to my other posts. Thanks.